Greetings, my friends. It looks like we're in a walk and talk situation today. My girlfriend quit her job recently, and what that means is the space where I usually shoot my videos, which is her lovely bedroom with her nice mirror with the gilded frame and all those beautiful paintings, etc. She's in there now. She's making a lot of noise, walking around. Comes into the kitchen this morning when I'm trying to get my head together to shoot this video, and she swings her feet up on the table and she blows her nose and farts. I call this the fart feet and foofnicks. My mom calls boogers foofnicks. Fart feet and foofnicks. Picks her nose, throws her feet up on the table and farts. By the way, if I do 1, 2, or all 3 of these things, she has a standard response. And that response is, we're still in the courting phase of our relationship. You're not allowed to do that. Anyways, she's letting her hair down a little bit now that she's not at her job, and I needed a little space. So I'm out in beautiful Prater Park here in Vienna. Prater used to belong to the royal family, I guess, the emperor. So the inbred royal emperor family would come here and shoot animals, I suppose. Now, of course, Prater belongs to the people. There's these amazing pictures post-World War II where, like, everything in Prater is destroyed, and it's a dystopic Cormac McCarthy The Road hellscape, but there's just like a picture of the skeletal frame of the Ferris wheel, which they have since rebuilt. In any event, I live in the 2nd District, and Prater Park is in the 2nd District, and it's a nice place to come and take a deep breath and see the tiny little deer. They're like half the size of the American deer that I used to see in Wisconsin. It's one of those differences between America and Vienna. They're more free range about their pets here. I've noticed that. Like people there will let their pets come up to you, slobber all over you. They don't, and it's like it's on the pet. They don't call the dog back or anything. It's a little bit like how they treat their children in Vienna. Like every once in a while I have this phenomenon here that I don't experience in America ever, where I'll see a kid in a public space and I'll think, who does that kid belong to? Who does that kid belong to? There's just a kid right there. And you try and find the closest parent that kid might belong to, but you can't. It's always fine. There's always a parent nearby. They're always watching the kid, but they don't hover and helicopter over the kid like they kind of do a little bit in the States. So anyways, I'm out here clearing my head in the park because I kind of had a big weekend. And I can't even necessarily really talk about it, even though I talked about my girlfriend's fart, foofnicks, and feets. There's some stuff even I can't talk about online, but it's too private and personal. But let's just say I've got a friend group or a group that I'm close to, and there's been a very, very big event in that group, and we've been involved in one of those like war and peace length text chains about this very serious and important issue. And this experience this past weekend has spun me out a little bit, and it's been a great opportunity to watch myself in real time continue to have responses and reactions, deep emotional responses and reactions that just don't feel good. And I watch myself processing in real time, and that means I make errors in insight and compassion, and I have explosions followed by moments of like purple prose and irrelevant eloquence. I'm a mess, and I'm not supposed to be a mess, of course, because I have a practice. I'm a Zen Buddhist priest. Like many of you, I have had openings, or what we could call enlightenment experiences. So what's going on here? Why am I still an asshole? Why is my voice like this? So the first point I want to make with regards to this topic is that, I know I've said this a billion, zillion, quadrillion times, but like Zen practice, spiritual practice, meditation, zazen, whatever you want to call it, is just not therapy. It's not the same as processing your own baggage from the past, or working out your family issues or your relationship issues, and that's a different process. So some of the people in this text chain, and there were also phone calls happening, some of them have done therapy and have processed this stuff, and I can tell that their approach is different than the approaches of us who have maybe not done therapy. And I actually don't think it's better at all, but I can see that they, like when these deep emotions get stirred, you have a real-time moment to watch yourself overwhelmed. And as a spiritual practitioner, as a Zen monk, I think the fun thing for me is that I get to be in this state of chaos and fear and anger, and my only job from a spiritual perspective is just to note what's happening. I don't have to respond in a smart way or in the way of someone who may know how to respond perfectly. The right thing to say, the most compassionate, intelligent, wise, insightful, sane, objective, heartfelt, did I say that? Thing to say. So I always, when I get really overwhelmed, I tend to think that I'm supposed to, I hate it when people come when I'm talking. I know it's a public park, but I'm making content. Hold on. So all of that's just kind of a complex way of saying that this weekend I was reminded again that, human life is, oh my God, what am I talking about? So all of that is a complex way of saying that if, this weekend I learned that if you have a Zen practice and a meditation practice and you're able to manifest equanimity on the cushion and you've had some insights and some openings, none of these are like a currency that is just directly transferable to an emotional event. So, in fact, currencies may be the right word. It's like you've made $100,000 in American cash, but you can't take that to Guatemala and buy something necessarily. Maybe that's not such a good analogy. I guess it's not a small point. You would think that if you've had an experience that's very deep, again, I don't know a better, let's call them openings. Let's call it an opening. If you've had an opening, you would think that some space would be made inside you where you maybe wouldn't get triggered, maybe ever again, right? Like maybe you reach a state of permanent enlightenment even. Who was talking about that recently? I think it was Brad Warner on Brad Warner's channel. I listened to a bunch of his videos recently. Every once in a while I just go on a Brad binge. I went on one recently. I think he was talking about permanent enlightenment. So maybe I'm going to be stealing his insights now, which I'm always fully happy to do because I think insights are like open source, man. They belong to everybody. But when I lived in Los Angeles, like right before I came to the monastery, I had a friend. Let's say her name was Shelley. She was very much involved with this guru, okay? And he, not involved, but she was studying under him. And she went to India and she studied with him. And then it was Tibet. And then she got run over by a truck and it ground her into the mud, and it displaced her hip. And I mean, she went through some real difficult stuff. And she would take me to a mansion where this guru would meet with people. And this was right before I went to Mount Baldy. And suddenly it was like, maybe I should go study with this guru. And my friend Shelley was like, I think you're going to study with my guru. And we're all at the mansion with this guy and with this guru. And it's like up in the Hollywood Hills, and there's like a jacuzzi, and you know, the guru is there. He's from India, and he's got his whole origin story about how he spent 14 years in the forest by himself, like standing on one leg kind of thing. And then he became enlightened, and he left the forest to come teach us Westerners. And, you know, everybody in that scene had this idea that this guy was permanently enlightened. And he had some good energy. I mean, I remember this woman, this young girl. We were in satsang, which was like you would come and meet with him in smaller groups, right? And this girl was in my group, and she had kind of a nervous breakdown right there in the room. She got so emotional, and she started sobbing, and she's trying to talk, and she's sobbing, and she was relaying a problem to him. And I watched him, and he overwhelmed her with strength and kindness at the same time, calmed her down almost instantly. It was in about 4 or 5 seconds. I mean, he reached out, he responded, he held her hand, he brought her energy back down to like planet Earth, and you know, then he gave her a mantra or said a prayer with her or something, and you know, sent us all on our way. And I was very impressed with this guy, but I remember thinking, he's not permanently enlightened. I just don't believe there is such a thing. And I remember thinking, even if he is permanently enlightened, like even if he is, there's still people out there like this young girl whom he calmed down, out there here in this world suffering, like the emotions, the drama, war and peace and sex. That's the other thing. They said he doesn't have sex ever, and then I saw his translator was everybody was gorgeous. All the men and all the women in this group were gorgeous, and like when you came in to the mansion, like you step in a warm pool of water filled with rose petals, and then all the gorgeous young people clean your feet. It was very interesting. And one of the most gorgeous young people was this excuse me, I'm shouting myself hoarse here in Prater. One of the most gorgeous people was the translator for this guru, and I remember thinking, I don't think this guy is totally sexless, you know. And I remember realizing, you know, there's a whole scene here, and that was when I decided I'm gonna go with the Zen monks, who I think are a little bit more honest and a little bit more down to earth about the human condition. They don't tell me that I can transcend it. They tell me that I can work with it, and that I can move through this life with a sense of humor and some grace and some alertness and awakeness, and I can experience it. So that's what I was talking about earlier when I was saying that I don't think that Zen is designed to make me respond, pre-respond to a surprising and tumultuous emotional situation. Rather, when I'm on, I'm able to, oh my God, look at me. I'm being a crazy human, and I can see it almost objectively sometimes. Like the only perspective isn't just like me down here in this earth in my my greedy, selfish, confused human shoes freaking out. There are also other perspectives, bigger perspectives, you could say, than tiny, crummy little Jack. Hey, what do you think, man? Should I go back home? You think my girlfriend's still sitting at the table with her feet kicked up and her booger rags on the table, passing wind occasionally? I hope she never sees this video. Don't tell her about it. I don't know, is it just me? Can you guys see all the greenery in this forest and this beautiful old knobby characterological half-dead tree stump here? It's spring, folks. It's finally spring. It goes like this. It goes winter, summer, spring, or fall. And then winter, summer, spring, or fall. Seasons pass. Terrible, difficult, emotional days become chilled out, sunny, beautiful spring days become cloudy, ornery fall days, become hot, horny summer days. And so it is that a human life passes. When I was hanging out with my friend, I forgot what I was calling her, Sarah? Shelly? When I was hanging out with my friend Shelly, she had one of the beautiful young men was her friend, and I forget, they were roommates or something, and I used to go over to her house, and like he would be sitting on her couch, and like he'd have one of these smiles, like, and he'd just be looking around the room, and I was like, what is he? She was like, no, he's unruffled. He's unruffled by the vicissitudes of life. And I remember thinking, as I made my decision to study with a Zen master instead of a Hindu guru or a Vedantic guru, I remember thinking, I'll take my ruffles, please. Like, this doesn't, this unruffled existence doesn't look very interesting. And there is something to be said for the fact that we aren't allowed to live separately from our emotions on this planet. We're not allowed to live separately from each other. We're not allowed to live separately from this beautiful tree behind me. You know, we're not allowed to live separately from our mother when we're inside her womb. We have to wake up. We have needs. We have to take a breath. We have to breathe in and breathe out. We have to take food into our body and water. Like, we were born into a conditional situation where our surroundings continually affect us and infect us and get inside of us and change us and give rise to us and are us and we are them. And yes, it's often messy and uncomfortable. And we learn to work with it and gain insight from it and through it and on it through things like Zen practice. But like in the end, I don't know. I don't think there's any such thing as a permanently enlightened state. I think we have these deep openings that are real. And then we have to come back down to planet Earth and take another breath and fart, put our feet up on the table, and foofnicks, blow our nose in a Kleenex, and get on each other's nerves, and continue to make problems and make love and make life. We're here on planet Earth, living a human life. That's our call. That's our call. Ling. Our calling. Hey, man. I tried to make an A video today, man. I tried to make an A+, but I think I made a C. I made a C+, and maybe a B-. Can you give me a B-? I think it's a B. I think it's a B-. If you want to support this B- channel called Zen Confidential, you can go to patreon.com/showsonjackhobner. That's patreon.com/showsonjackhobner. You will find essays there, and I always post these videos first there. They show up a few weeks later on YouTube, and I have my ad deal on in YouTube. So one of the things that you get if you come over to Patreon is ad-free videos. I'm not in love with doing the ads on YouTube, but that's a whole nother video. One day, basically, I had an increase in my rent that was exactly what I would make if I enabled my ads on YouTube. Then I just did it. So anyways, come over to patreon.com/showsonjackhalbert. You don't got to watch no ads over there. There's also an opportunity to support this channel through PayPal, and there's a link in the video description below. But I make these videos for free, and I'm deeply honored to share my practice path with you. And I hope you're having a great day. And I'm going to see you next week, hopefully, in the event that I'm still alive and well and kicking. Tschüss, as we say here in Austria. Tschüss means goodbye. Look, I've come out in a clearing. In closing, this is the most beautiful tree in Prater, and it's right next to this noisy, stinky, fulminating freeway. Kind of like the outhouse and the chapel right on the same street. This is the second most beautiful tree.